What did a minority of idiots ruin for everyone else? Story 1. In Japan, a couple of teenage hooligans went to a kaiten sushi chain, conveyor belt sushi, and started licking the sushi and condiments while leaving them on the conveyor belt, all the while filming this for TikTok. Now half of all the kaiten sushi chains have outright stopped having the sushi on the conveyor belt to be taken. You have to order it for it to arrive. The whole joy of kaiten sushi is to take as it comes, so this is massively disappointing. Reply 1. So, that's what happened? Between one trip and the next, I was so confused when there was no actual sushi on the belt to be taken anymore. Reply 2. My favorite restaurant in Japan carried the sushi out on subway trains, and if you did any special orders, they sent it out on a separate track that used bullet trains. Reply 3. The 2-speed thing. One carousel carrying stuff for anyone to grab. One faster one that delivers things specifically for you that you order from a tablet is pretty standard for kaiten sushi. Trains are a cool gimmick though. Reply 4. There's a restaurant in Prague. It uses model trains to deliver everything, including beer and plates of food. It's glorious. Reply 5. That devastating. My favorite restaurant during my trip was a little conveyor belt sushi place right in Asakusa. I went 4 times, but it confirms to me that it would not survive where I live. Story 2. Where I used to live, there's a public park with a big hill, and when it snowed, people would sled down it. A kid ran into a pole and had to get stitches, and his mom tried to sue the city. Now it's against the law to sled down the big hill. Reply 1. There was a park with a pond that had no swimming signs, and a teenager decided to swim in it. Drowned. Parents sued. They emptied the pond, and now it's just an empty pit of nothing like on Parks and Rec. Reply 2. We have people in my town complaining that the previously unused tennis courts are seeing more use due to the popularity of pickleball, and are actively campaigning against spending the money to repair the courts at another park in town. They're trying pretty hard to ruin it, but there is a lot of pushback. I don't play, but I support people using our parks. Reply 3. Wouldn't they want the other parks repaired so more people go play over there and there's fewer people using the one by them? Seems like they're shooting themselves in the foot. Reply 4. Yup, that is the norm in my town. A couple of years ago, the vocal idiots mounted a successful campaign to vote down a larger town budget, resulting in lower property taxes. However, we are now paying more out of pocket for services that were cut by the town to keep the budget balanced. I get some people who are on a fixed income and chafe at taxes, but seriously, this is basically math. I'd rather pay $200 a year more in taxes than $800 a year for a crappier version of the services we use to get through the town. Reply 5. Man, gotta love when people see something that obviously has possible consequences and then do it anyway, only to blame someone else when the consequence they knew could happen occurs. Hopefully she lost and didn't get any money from the city. Story 3. My high school used to do a big breakfast buffet for graduating seniors on the last day of school. Bacon, eggs, pancakes, sausage, fruits, pastries, cereal, grits, oatmeal, juice, coffee, basically anything you could imagine. And they'd let you miss your first period class to hang out in the cafeteria for it. It was a big deal that everyone looked forward to. The whole school would smell awesome. And all the other students would be seething with envy in their first period classes. Well, my junior year, the graduating class ahead of me decided to stage a massive food fight. There were grits on the ceiling well into the following year, and of course, the principal was so angry my class didn't get a senior breakfast. Reply 1. That's such a brutal way to miss out. One class couldn't handle themselves, and ruined a great tradition for everyone else. Totally worth being bitter about. Reply 2. I've got a somewhat similar story. Back in elementary school, the graduating 6th grade class would get to go on a field trip to Boston, MA, to catch a Red Sox game and see the city towards the end of the school year. Both my older siblings got to go and they loved it, so I was really looking forward to it. But when I finally got to 6th grade, the school had just expanded to also cover 7th and 8th grades. And since the trip was only for the graduating class, it was now for the 8th graders, so I had to wait another 2 years. Then the next year, when I was in 7th grade, the class clowns in 8th grade acted like absolute animals on their Boston trip. That, coupled with an overall decline in school funding, meant that when I got to 8th grade and it was finally my chance to go on that trip, the school permanently canceled it altogether. It was a funding-motivated decision, and wasn't entirely the fault of the class ahead of me, so I get it. And this was also a couple decades ago at this point. But I'm still a little bitter about having the rug pulled out from under me not once but twice. Reply 3. I had a similar experience. 8th grade class before mine messed up their week-long trip, so my class got one lame day trip instead. They reinstated the 8th grade trip the year after mine. 20 plus years later, and I'm still pissed. Reply 4. My high school used to let seniors off campus for lunch. They could walk/drive to wherever and grab lunch from someplace. My junior year, a car of 4 seniors decided to drive as fast as they could to the neighboring city to get Sonic. They were driving too fast, crashed, and died. The next year, all students were banned from leaving campus. Reply 5. They banned that privilege at my high school before I was a senior too, but because people would leave for lunch and not come back afterwards. Story 4. This is personal and anecdotal, but in my hometown there was a loading dock, some ledges, and a couple of concrete pads behind a Kohl's or Marshall's. Basically, skate heaven, and the manager of the store would let local kids skate back there so long as they didn't scare off customers, weren't drinking or doing drugs, etc. So, one day a couple of dumbasses vandalized the spot and did a bunch of property damage, and after that nobody could skate back there. Reply 1. I know this could be like 10,000 towns in America, but this sounds exactly like my hometown in Maryland, LMFAO. I guess that's the point, but I had to stop and think. Reply 2. Yep, this was in the southeast U.S. Fun times though. Me and the boys would be jacked on Mountain Dew, trying our damnedest to ollie the 3-stair. Then eventually, the scary older kids who smoked and could drive would show up and run us off. Reply 3. We had the BMX version of that in my town. We built a bunch of dirt jumps and no one cared as long as we didn't leave trash or make a bunch of noise. A few years later, some kid broke his arm and mommy sued, so the city bulldozed everything. Reply 4. Something very much like this was actually a huge deal at one point about 40 years ago. Suddenly insurance companies would not give reasonable rates to cities because some guy was dirt biking on some disused city lot and got hurt and sued. And won. So cities all over North America had to group together and start their own not-for-profit insurance companies. Most states have them now. Reply 5. Similar situation. This was in the 80s. Although the BMX track was built by high schoolers with a bunch of time, energy, and a lot of shovels. The town ended up destroying it to put in a seldomly used lacrosse field. The track practically appeared overnight in a park that the town neglected. It was sort of a park for junkies and kids that wanted to play doctor. The area used for the track was sort of a forested area off the beaten path that you had to jump a fence or two to get into, so obviously not a sanctioned area. Pretty awesome place too. They built a huge 6 feet deep banana pit, camel humps, various ramps, etc. It was a loop but had some branching paths. The whole thing was maybe 50 yards wide. There was nothing like it for miles around. It stood for almost 20 years with hardly much maintenance. Then that area of town got popular, the park was renovated, and it was all torn up for that lacrosse field. Story 5. Effective over-the-counter medications. Edit. Holy crap, did the bots find this comment. Looks like Big Pharma still wants to sell pseudoephedrine. Laugh out loud. Story 6. I've got a very specific one. I went to see the Godzilla head up close on top of a hotel in Shinjuku, Tokyo. It's been closed indefinitely because some absolute Fs were climbing on it and causing too many safety issues, and one eventually fell, so we could only look through a window instead. Lame. It was still pretty cool, but F those guys. Story 7. One single idiot ruined the relaxed dress code we pushed for at work. Normally the company required a blue or gray suit with tie every day. I worked in the creative department, and it took a long time to convince the powers that be to let us wear khakis and a button-up with no tie to feel a little more relaxed and creative. Part of this deal, we actually had to access the building via the back door. and weren't allowed in the main client-facing areas. New guy gets hired in his first Friday, knowing full well the dress code, wears a ripped hoodie and jeans. That Monday, we were all back to full suits. F that dude. Reply 1. What the F is your job if it requires that kind of a dress code so strongly? For a creative department, no less. Reply 2. Consulting for the military where most, if not all, of the senior management were retired military, and that's how they liked it. I got reprimanded once for speaking to the CEO of a client because I was some peon who shouldn't speak to anyone. Little did they know I knew the CEO personally through my parents, and we were discussing dinner plans. My boss tried to invite his way to the dinner, but said, CEO shot him down saying it was a personal visit only. That career is long gone, but it's still a funny memory. Story 8. A few losers in the senior class before us took beer and booze on their senior trip, hiding it in shampoo containers in their luggage. They got drunk and found out, and all senior school trips were canceled, starting with ours, the class of 1983. Thanks, a-holes of 82. Story 9. Years ago, Long John Silver's would donate their excess food to a local shelter. One idiot tried to get rich by suing the chain, saying the donated food was tampered with, even alleging it was purposeful to kill the homeless population. The case went nowhere, but it made all the local restaurants hesitant to donate, and now none of them donate any food at all. Reply 1. In my hometown, KFC would give cops the day's leftovers, which encouraged the cops to have at least one cop car in their parking lot when they closed, and were taking the day's take to the bank. Another business complained, jealously probably, and no more free chicken nor a cop car in their parking lot at closing. Reply 2. This hit all convention centers and large event spaces. We have to throw away so much food now, even if it's individually packaged. Story 10. At my work, if one person screws up, the whole office pays for it, instead of just reprimanding that one person. It sucks and is stupid. Why am I getting into trouble for something I haven't done wrong? Reply 1. I became a manager about 3 to 4 years ago on the basis that I do things better. Most managers don't have the courage to talk to a person one-on-one about mistakes. Cowardly, even. I've been doing it, and not only does it pay off, it's a skill that I'm improving, and the trust and respect it's built for me has been paramount. The rest are just avoidant, lazy, or don't care enough to actually spend any of their time trying to make a difference. Reply 2. Yeah, it's wild how far managers will go to not single out someone who effed up. I've learned that you earn a lot more respect when you just approach them rather than announce to everyone that an anonymous person effed up. The latter just gets everyone talking. It makes the person who effed up feel like a nobody, and said manager just builds an image of themselves as a little bitch. Reply 3. The second I see a manager telling off the whole group for something done by specific people, while absolutely knowing who those people are, I lose all respect for them as management. At a place I used to work, some people were making a lot of mistakes on some paperwork we all had to do, and management was having to go in and fix it after the fact. Every day they would tell us all that there have been mistakes, and everyone would think to themselves, who are these idiots who can't do it right? Couldn't be me. Reply 4. Now I'm having flashbacks to the principal giving us her weekly, "You're using too much copy or paper" scolding, like we're all 5 years old. Everyone, including you, knows it's Cindy from the first grade cadre who literally photocopies sheets with a single line printed on them. Stop lecturing all of us and talk to Cindy. Sigh. Story 11. Thrifting. It used to be a place to find reasonably priced items. Now too many people use it as a way to flip items. Reply 1. Every time I go to my local thrift stores, it's 90% stuff from Shine that probably got donated after being worn twice. Which is better than going in the trash, I guess, but it's so hard to find anything older or of decent quality because every other shirt is cheap garbage. Reply 2. The stores near me actually take the good items and sell them on their own websites for profit and leave the sheen, ripped/disgusting, or obscure brands in store. I've actually tried to buy a vase I liked, and the clerk was like, "Oh, sorry, this shouldn't be on the floor. It should be on the website only." Like it's marked, it's cheap. Give me my ugly MCM vase. I had to argue with management about it. Then they go and take all their unsold product and flood third world nations with it, and try and monopolize the local markets there. Reply 3. My wife works in a thrift store, and one of her coworkers is a flipper, and let's just say she's been causing some issues within the store. Flippers are always super aggressive with trying to get items, and her store allows employees to set aside some small, low-cost items for themselves to purchase when they get donated. My wife collects menorahs and had one set aside that a coworker had found for her, and the flipper literally stole it and listed it on Facebook Marketplace. My wife confronted her, and she agreed to give it back to her, so at least there's that. It's very frustrating because we literally don't sell anything. We're strong, only buy never sell collectors, and we really despise any and all flippers. Reply 4. The thrift stores near me all carry Walmart level stuff, at 75% of the price I would get if I go to a Walmart and buy it new. I live in a very rural area though, think 50 miles from any shopping besides Walmart and Ace HW. So maybe in more urban areas, it's different. Reply 5. Not really. I'm in an urban area and so much of the thrift inventory is either total crap, unusably old, or the markup is high enough you may as well buy new. Add the employees and flippers snatching all the decent stuff early. The trash that's left has made thrifting a waste of time. I used to find a gem of an item every 3 to 5 visits. Now it's easy to go 10 visits and still find nothing worth getting. Story 12. A lot of archaeological tourism sites like the Egyptian pyramids and Machu Picchu. People kept taking pieces as mementos. Now they won't even let you get close to a lot of these. Reply 1. The Egyptian government doesn't take care of the pyramids very well. It's crowded with hustlers, littered with garbage, and there's camel crap and piss everywhere. They let you climb on the pyramids unsupervised. I mean, you're not supposed to go above 3 steps, but you can very easily pay off the guards. Very common in Egypt. Getting paid off is seen as a common benefit of security jobs. So yeah, tons of graffiti of people scratching their names into the stones. Oh, what's that? Too out of shape to climb up? Don't worry, they've carved smaller steps into the pyramid for you? Yes, they actually carved into the effing ancient pyramids of Giza for the convenience of tourists. Don't get me started on some of the restoration jobs at other archaeological sites. At Alexandria, they straight up painted over faded pigments, so instead of seeing the authentic remains of pigmented hieroglyphics aged thousands of years, you can see what would happen if a 3rd grader went unsupervised with acrylic paint. So you want to know what a minority of idiots ruined for everyone else? The remains of ancient Egypt. Leave it to a brain-dead, corrupt dictatorship to vandalize ancient monuments that were otherwise practically untouched since the existence of effing mammoths. Reply 2. Great comment. I wasn't super familiar with the current policies on the Egyptian pyramids. I have really only been to American pyramids like Machu Picchu and Chichen Itza. Basically though, yeah, same thing. People ruined it for everyone else, regardless of whether the choice was to close it down or just let them continue to desecrate historical sites. My understanding when it comes to the Great Pyramids, even the restoration efforts are often done haphazardly and cause only more losses. Story 13. One guy with a half-assed shoe bomb. And now I have to make sure I wear nice socks to the airport every goddamn time. Story 14. Living in close quarters or using public spaces. Most people are fine, but there's always someone playing loud music with no headphones on the bus or subway. A jerk littering in public parks or putting their half-empty coffee cup on the store shelf and walking away. It wasn't too heavy to carry around when you wanted to sip at it, but now just going to leave it right here where it doesn't belong and can spill on someone for the help to pick up. The idiot who lets their dog run around on off-leash and out of control but yells it's okay, he's friendly. Friendly but muddy and jumping, and I'm not trusting your judgment. You've already shown it to be poor. Maybe I'm not friendly or the dog I'm trying to train? Idiots ruin everything. Reply 1. People with their dog off-leash in public can F right off. Your dog may seem friendly to you but be an a-hole to others. If your dog jumps at me and I didn't consent, don't be mad if I defend myself. Keep it leashed. Reply 2. My dog's recall is immaculate. I still leash him everywhere in public. Just because he's trained doesn't mean he can be a nuisance. Some people don't like or are scared of dogs yet. Cars, bikes, wild animals. I'm just not taking the chance no matter how confident in my training skills and my dog's obedience I am. Reply 3. The idiot who lets their dog run around on off-leash and out of control but yells, "It's okay, he's friendly." Friendly but muddy and jumping. And I'm not trusting your judgment. You've already shown it to be poor. Maybe I'm not friendly or the dog I'm trying to train? All of these dog idiots decided to take their dog to the park near my house. Reply 4. There are off-leash areas for this purpose. I love dogs but do not want to be approached by a strange dog at high speed. Story 15. Thieves and scammers at retail stores. More and more stuff is being locked up, and you have to jump through hoops to return a broken product. Reply 1. I used to work at Staples, and the amount of theft we had on the most random of products was nuts. The most commonly stolen item was the $20 fancy pens. People would just go into the aisle, rip the package open, take the pen, hide the packaging, and walk out. We'd only know because we were constantly finding those packagings everywhere. But our biggest theft problem was printer ink. $60 for an ink cartridge? We'd put it in a locked plastic box. People would take the boxes to the back and use a hammer, I guess, and smash them open to steal the ink. There was one trick people were doing where they'd hide toner cartridges and who knows what else in their reusable shopping bags. They'd put the toner in the bag and cover it with cardboard so it looked like there was nothing in the bag when we'd load it up with their other not suspicious items. When they'd walk through the metal detector and set it off, we'd wave them out because we thought it was something else, I don't know. We only learned of this tactic when we got the memo from corporate. Also, the drug addicts ruined our bathrooms way too many times. We'd watch them stumble into the stalls and just sit there for hours. Even had to call the police/paramedics a few times because we thought they were overdosing. No wonder grocery stores have locks on their bathrooms. Reply 2. When people stole AA or OI batteries from our store, they wouldn't steal the 2-packs or the 4-packs. They would rip open the 24 or 48 packs and pocket a few of them. Edit, and for anyone trying to apply logic to the actions of people who steal batteries, the bigger packs we had were much harder to open than the smaller packs. Plastic clamshell packaging is a bitch. Reply 3. At my work, we had a team of individuals who would take turns stealing as much laundry detergent as they could and hauling out the nearest fire exit with them. We eventually locked up all the laundry stuff in Deadass. One of the thieves came back to the store a week later to complain about how inconvenient this was. Reply 4. I was working at a Speedway and we had to move the beef jerky display because it was right by the door and obviously had all the most overpriced product in it, while the store was located in the hood. One of the thieves that would grab one on the way out every day after buying his cigarettes, which he only had to pay for because they're behind bullet-resistant glass, made a similar comment about how it's inconvenient now that he couldn't grab the beef jerky on his way out. The audacity of thieves is what makes me hate them the most. Reply 5. I went to a 7-Eleven yesterday and there were 0 cups for drinks or Slurpees. When I asked about it, the cashier said they had to keep them behind the counter because they had thousands of dollars a month in theft. Story 16. Going unsupervised to amusement parks as kid or teenager. Here, Southern California, Knott's used to allow teenagers and kids to come and hang as they please. I myself have tons of my best memories going to Knott's with friends. I literally had my first kiss at Knott's. But because of TikTok and handful of idiot teenagers starting fights and mass panic over a non-existent mass shooter, listen to this, literally kids were yelling that there was an armed shooter as a joke. So now if you're under 21, you have to have a chaperone looking after you. Honestly, feel bad for the kids who were fine and now can't just hang with friends and ride roller coasters. If my nephew or nieces want to go, I or another family member have to agree to chaperone them. I don't know, I just think that sucks. Edit. I wasn't expecting this to take off, but clarification after looking it up. 15 or younger need a chaperone of 21 plus. 16 and older need an ID. Reply 1. Under 21 is actually mad. I'm 19, and the thought of needing another adult to accompany me anywhere because I'm too young is honestly so weird. Story 17. I'm an industrial painter. The factory I'm painting in right now has Wi-Fi, but some dumbass downloaded 2 seasons of Supernatural on the company Wi-Fi. Now, no one can have the password. Story 18. When I was growing up, the electric company would offer free light bulbs to customers. A local business complained that he wasn't selling any bulbs as a result, so no more free bulbs for anyone. Reply 1. Detroit Edison did that when I was a kid, and yeah, F that guy who brought the suit. They even fix things like toasters at the same place. Story 19. Every single fandom subreddit eventually gets taken over by small contingent of toxic fans/trolls, driving out anyone wanting to have a normal discussion. Just be attrition alone. Video game, movie, show, book doesn't matter. Eventually it turns into this hate echo chamber over the smallest BS, and people have to create separate subreddit just to share normal opinions that isn't regurgitated hate. Reply 1. Not just fandoms, it's basically the life cycle of every subreddit. 1 sub is created. Normal people with interest in the topic join. 2. Sub grows and more terminally online people start to join because they found their people. 3. Terminally online, folks post/comment, upvote/downvote most frequently, and start to drown out the normal folks. 4. Normal people start to realize the sub is going down the drain and leave because they don't want to spend all day arguing like the terminally online people. 5. Terminally online people now drive the sub, think they represent the community as a whole, and sit around reinforcing their own insanity. 6. New sub is split off for the normal folks who no longer want to be involved in the original sub. 7. Repeat. Reply 2. It's always interesting to see how subreddit 2 gets named. Sometimes it's new, sometimes it's true, sometimes it's some clever shibboleth that you only know if you're a fan. Reply 3. I've seen actual death threats in fandoms, both against other fans and against actual creators, because some a-hole didn't like how the story was going, or their personal fan theory wasn't accepted as canon. We never rejected religious fundamentalism, we just replaced it. Story 20. People filming themselves licking soy sauce bottles, putting them back, and being little craps in general, basically wiped out the concept of running sushis in Japan. It's steered to an order basis only, and it just ain't the same.
Thanks for watching until the end. If you have a similar story to these that you want to share with us, please leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like and subscribe. For more videos like this one right now, please stop by our channel. Thanks again, and see you next time.